Are retailers the front line of data analysis?
I think there's two ways to look at it. Retailers are certainly the best people at collecting data along with the finance industry. If you look at those two industries, their revenue is almost completely driven by data analysis. So I would say if by frontline you mean sort of leading the charge of using the technology, collecting data, certainly retail and finance would be my choices.
So when we think of big data companies these days, most of it's thought of as online. We think of Google, we think of Facebook. What can those companies learn from the data analysis that retailers have been doing for years?
I actually think there's two-way communication. In fact, my sort of company, PatternBuilders, is based on the idea that the two sides need to learn from each other. In terms of modeling and data collection, the retailers are by far more advanced than anybody in the sort of technology industry. In terms of efficiency of infrastructure, processing, being able to process a lot of data computationally and cheaply, the retailers have a huge amount to learn from Google and Facebook. Walmart spent $4 billion to build their big data store retail link, and Google spends a tenth of that to index the internet.
Sure.
And I think that says it all. So both sides can learn from each other.
You mentioned Walmart. Do you think that the data tools that are at the disposal of a Walmart, of an Amazon, will those get to the point where they trickle down to smaller businesses?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's, sort of I'm a software vendor that's trying to do that. But I think, outside of our sort of interest at PatternBuilders, what I think you're going to find is that these technologies and techniques, big data techniques, a lot of the things that are being discussed at the conference are making it simpler and cheaper, and that gives broader access. I think more importantly, from a competitive level, that's going to give smaller retailers the chance to really compete because they'll be able to target customers more aggressively in the way that Walmart and Amazon does. So as in most technology, the adoption curve starts to go up with time and the cost curves go down. And I think big data is no different and analytics are no different.
So last question I have for you. How do you see mobile changing the way that retail interacts with and acquires data?
I think mobile is going to change everything because it collaces all this data location, they're becoming cash registers, the social media, all of this data is being put on one device. And what that means is it's becoming much easier to aggregate it. And there's also a cultural shift where people are much more interested in allowing people to build that virtual persona, sort of the Minority Report you saw on Tom Cruise, where you walk into a mall and, a hologram pops up and tries to sell you stuff. Well, we don't have holograms, but I think that mobile phone is going to become that centerpiece that when you walk into a Walmart, you walk into a 7-Eleven, you're going to get a coupon that is based on all the analytics that have been collected about you and sell to that virtual persona that analytics technology is built around you. So I think mobile changes everything.
Great. Well, thank you very much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. A lot of fun.